here, so he's kind of getting his first missions. And you get this little panel that tells you how they play. We've also got, we're not showing it right now, but we've got a whole new kind of tutorial system. So newcomers to the game, we do a lot of, you know, hand-holding and teaching you about all the individual kind of mechanics and stuff, so it's not too daunting from the word go.
I feel like that's important in a game like, you know, Total War. I feel like, you know, making sure that people know exactly what they're doing, because you can see it and it can be a little overwhelming at times, but once you get the nuances and you know, pay close attention during the tutorials, you can sort of get a grip on it quite quickly.
Yeah, that's right, and it's really teaching people the kind of fundamental stuff, and then later on letting them kind of go off into the world and explore all the you know, the extra detail that's out there, but you know, giving people a firm grounding and in the sort of basics of the game, really. And right at the start of the campaign here, James is playing, his legendary lord is Quick Head Taker, who is the Head Taker. He literally wears a load of spikes with heads on his back, and he has a special ability in battle that terrifies other characters when he's fighting kind of one-on-one with other characters, because he bears his trophy heads at them, sort of thing. So, so James is right from the word go. We're being threatened by an AI-controlled faction of High Elves. So James is going into the first battle here, and what he's hovering over is a new ability that only the Skaven have, called the Menace Below, which enables you to call up extra kind of dial up extra units of clan rats, so that you get your kind of basic Skaven warriors, and they can pop up in battle, and you can pop them down anywhere on the field, anywhere you want to on the field, which is really super helpful.
When traveling with rats, it helps to travel in packs.
Exactly, always travel. Be the rats.
Don't turn your back on the rat pack, you know.
Never turn your back on the rat pack. Right, so we're just going in now. It's a pretty. I mean, James would have to work very hard to lose this one, because he's got quite a lot more than the enemy do. But you know, early Skaven armies are pretty brittle. Your basic Skaven units are cowardly. They run away really quickly, and they're not particularly well armored or anything. So it's, in the early game, especially playing as a Skaven, it's all about building big swarm armies and surrounding your enemies. So your kind of real specialist mutated damage dealers and your crazy kind of warpstone mechanical units can then lay in and do the real damage, you know. But so you've really got to lock the enemy down with your little guys, lots and lots of little guys.
Obviously, when playing in something like the world within Warhammer itself, there's so many characters and units and you know, things you can take from. Do you guys get to introduce anything that you've created yourself just for the game specifically within the world itself? Yeah, I mean, that's always kind of an option. I mean, what we do is, the point is, with the Warhammer series, we want to make something that is so incredibly, you know, authentic to the tabletop game. That's where we get all our inspiration from. And sometimes if we see, you know, we're working from 8th edition Warhammer, which is, you know, years old now. Yeah. So it's about certain armies. You know, when we put them in the game, we're like, well, actually, they could use a few more units. So we recently, for example, a good example of that, we recently released the Norska race pack for Warhammer 1. Nice. And we've brought a load of, you know, old Warhammer stuff back, and we work very closely in concert with Games Workshop to do that. So there's a lot of stuff in there that you wouldn't have seen in 8th edition, because it's way back in like 1st or 2nd edition Warhammer. But it's, you know, this really good working relationship with Games Workshop means we can bring this stuff to life. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and being able to surprise people with that stuff is always a joy. Obviously, you know, when talking about something like that, people want to see like the newer, the sexier versions of whatever edition is out currently. Yeah. But do you guys ever go back to like the OG, like the original, like some throwback 1st edition characters that people won't even remember unless they're like diehard Warhammer fans, and sprinkle them in the game just for like nods? I mean, there's all sorts of that stuff throughout our game. I mean, I can't count how many words get written into our game. You know, it's a big game, and there's lots of backstory, lots of characters, and we bring all that stuff out. You know, when we're telling the history of a character, or we're telling the history of a faction, or we invent, you know, we've invented a particular skill for a certain character type. So we lean on the lore. We look back through all those old army books and all those old storybooks and find examples of that stuff happening in the Warhammer history, so to speak. It is kind of almost like, you know, we traditionally make historical games in the Total War series, and it is kind of not too different from that, because it's just our history books are the Warhammer army books throughout the years, basically. So. Going into the heart of battle now.
Yeah, so he's uncovered all the high elven units there. So he's about to use the menace below here. Now this summons up a unit of clan rats. They'll scurry out the ground, and these guys are absolutely fantastic for just locking down, ranged units such as artillery and archers like these guys. So. And they have a little cooldown after you summon them, so James wasn't able to order them immediately there, but he should be able to now. So basically, you can bring those guys up, and yeah, you can bring them up under some artillery pieces, which will immediately stop firing, because the guys manning the guns have to turn around and fight off these slavering, ravenous rat men who've just popped up under their feet. So it's a super useful skill. And there's Skaven have this, they're kind of,
wow.
They're very high energy creatures. They're full of nervous energy. They're really twitchy and whiskery, and basically they're constantly burning energy. They need to eat constantly. So they, in the campaign layer of the game, food is a very crucial resource to them. So you have to constantly kind of be looking for ways to find more food to feed your faction. And you can throw, just before you go into battle, you can use up more food. That's what we saw James doing just before we went into battle. You can throw some of your food reserves to buy up more uses of the menace below.
Nice.
So you're just bringing more. You're using more food to bring more rats into being into play.
That's my approach right there. Run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Run.
exactly what I would have done.
I mean, like
Giant rats.
going into war itself, terrifying enough. But when a giant ratman clan of rats is coming at you.
Yeah, totally. Those are rat ogres, the ones that James showed us just now, which are kind of good, solid mid-tier, big damage dealers, but also they cause fear, and so very good against sort of basic infantry like this. They'll knock them flying. They'll give them a big scare, and occasionally they'll leap through the air and land on the ground like that.
Nice.
And they're good. You see the character models there. They're full of detail, and this is the Skaven way. They mutate each other with warp stone injections and these capsules which they implant, and they graft new parts onto them, and they rely on this real
mad hunger,
horrific mad science to enhance themselves. So yeah, he's right in the thick of it there, absolutely doing the Skaven way, and absolutely surrounding everything and swamping it down, and of course getting Queek Headtaker, his lord, in to do some major damage as well.
I mean, that rat growth hormone,
yeah,
that goes a long way.
It knows no bounds. Yeah. So yeah, the storm vermin there, they're a good kind of early to mid-tier backbone unit for your armies. I mean, at the start you'll be mostly using clan rats, and Skaven slaves, which are absolutely bog standard, really low. I mean, some of the worst infantry in the game, to be honest.
Wow.
You just wanna field them in massive numbers, because a few of them die and they go and they squeak and they run away. But the beauty of Skaven is they get a speed boost when they're routing, so they run away and they get out of range of the enemy and they get their morale back up, and then you send them back in. So you're constantly kind of wafting, your routing units back in, and it's overwhelming for an enemy to face that kind of constant attack and run. It can really disrupt their game plan.
Is that based off of did anyone else do that in real life?
I don't know.
The actual rat armies.
Rat armies.
1374.
In New York, the giant rats.
Yeah,
exactly. The giant rats in New York.
The world-famous giant rats of New York. Yeah. But yeah, that's and that's how they play the tabletop game.
That's amazing.
And it's all about keeping that momentum up and microing all those units.
If you're going against them, then that's got to be so frustrating.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, even when you're playing a Skaven and you face a big Skaven army, or say a couple of Skaven armies, it's absolutely overwhelming. Yeah, and you really have to take stock of things and not panic, and work out where the weaknesses are, so you can apply
almost
strategy.
like fighting a real life rat.
Yeah, basically.
Has that happened
if
to
that
you
rat
yet?
was wearing armor,
I've been attacked by a rat once.
Have you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. When I was back in Florida.
Did it run away and then come back at you again?
It ran up my friend's leg, and then it ran away and came back. So I understand everything that you're talking about.
Wow.
I'm applying this technique now. I see what they do.
I think you'll be well armed when you go into Warhammer 2 to defend against the Skaven.
Every time I go into any of your games, I'm no expert at this. I just get my ass whooped, man. I don't. Why? Why is it? What is?
Well,
am I just not smart enough to play your games?
Now you've got a beautiful tutorial to teach you how to not let that happen. So, And one of the only things we do is I mean, are you talking in the battle side or the campaign side?
Yeah, every part, every side.
Right,
How about
right.
this side? I'm not. I just try and I want to be great at your games.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
So like I said, we teach you how to do that a bit better this time around. So
Great.
you know, we worked with a company based in the UK who they help businesses like ours, they help studios like ours teach players better.
Okay.
They're called Player Research, and we've worked very closely with them, and they do all sorts of really clever eye tracking
Wow.
while people are playing the game. And so we're like, oh, they're not showing the things we're highlighting them. We need to work on how to highlight things in our UI
That's
better.
fascinating.
And it's really
Fascinating.
it was really illuminating for us for that, and we've ploughed all that learning.
So what was
back
some of the
into
stuff like
Warhammer 2.
myself not doing or
So-
not looking at when you were telling me to look?
Things where we're probably like before we might have shown you some text, but there was something else going on at the screen which we're trying to highlight, and it's like, well, the player's only going to look at one place, so we've got to have a rule for ourselves to only show one thing at a time, you know, and do things more sequentially. So
Not everybody's
it's
an
really
engineer like you guys.
Exactly,
That's the
exactly.
Thing. Not
So-
everyone's making the game like you guys either.
exactly. So yeah, it's learning what
Fascinating.
players need. To
That's
learn,
really cool.
basically.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
It was-
John,
yeah.
you need like an infant mode, like baby mode.
Baby mode.
Like push one button to be awesome, and just like then.
That's what they've done. They've made everything into babies, right? Is there ever going to be baby war?
Who knows?
Okay.
You know,
Is that the baby mode you're
Crib
talking
Wars.
about?
Crib Wars.
let's
Total
see.
War, Crib Wars.
The,
Crib Wars,
the
that's
usual one we get is we're owned by Sega. Why haven't we got a Sonic the Hedgehog Total War?
Oh, come on,
with
man. That's kind of
tens
amazing.
thousands of spiky hedgehogs on the battlefield. So
What? But there's only one Sonic, right?
there is only one.
There's
Sonic,
only one,
yeah.
There's
so
only
you
one,
can't-
but there's like other ones.
There has to be other ones.
So it'd be like 1 versus 20,000 or something.
You
know, that'd
guys
be
are
pretty bad.
masters of the lore. I mean, obviously you have a great success with this game here, which is a lot of lore with it. Sega had the Archie comics with Sonic. You can use those, right?
That's true. All the inspiration we need right there. Yeah. So yeah, James is diving a bit deeper into the campaign now. He's gone and attacked his first settlement here.
Okay.
And when you're playing a Skaven, you've got this unique option that no other race has, where you can, again, food as a resource. You can throw food into just after you've conquered a settlement, you can throw food into it to massively expand it really quickly. So you can start every other race. When they conquer a new settlement, they begin building their own settlement at level 1, right? So they've only got like a building slot or 2. Whereas the Skaven, they can throw more food at the problem and start with a level 3 settlement main chain. So they can immediately build lots more buildings, and it all plays into the whole ethos behind the Skaven, which is, you know, building unseen. They're very stealthy on the campaign map as well. They've got all sorts of ways of hiding. So, for example, enemies, unless armies move close to your cities, they can't see your cities at all. All they see is ruins, right? Because everything's underground. Everything's in its own little under-empire underground. So you can, so this all plays in this massive hidden expansion, and then bursting out with loads of armies with hordes and hordes of rat men.
That's so cool.
It all plays into that kind of Skaven ethos of the hidden enemy that suddenly swamps you when you're least expecting it, sort of thing.
Is that also something you take into strategy when battling other armies? Like if you see some place that you want to take over, can you just like throw a bunch of food in there and then let your guys go in hungry?
Yeah, well, that is the trade-off, right? Because if you throw too much in, I mean, James, if you want to hover over the food panel for a second. So this is where your food lives. This is where your food meter is effectively. And if where we are now is kind of okay. If you've got loads of food, you get some nice benefits. If you've got negative food, things are going to start falling apart pretty quick. You've got to keep an eye on it. So you get some massive negatives to your public order, and to all sorts of things. You get replenishment problems. So your campaign can kind of start grinding to a halt if you don't keep an eye on that thing. So yeah, you can go in every settlement, throw loads of food in it, and build all these huge settlements. But then you can have real trouble managing them because you've got no food left. So it's all about getting
get a taste,
food. Yeah, exactly,
want more.
exactly. And there's various ways they can get food, so they can, they beat an army out in the field. They have a fat battle with an army, and if they win, they can enslave some captives and
then eat them.
pop them in the larder for later, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's certain settlements on the map which they can capture, which will produce food as well. So
It's all about the strategy.
So here we are. James has now gone to a ruin on the map, and he's got the option of treasure hunting or colonizing it. What are you going to do?
Treasure hunt, always.
Treasure hunt, all right. So this is a new feature for Warhammer 2. When you go treasure hunting, a number of things can happen. So he's got a bit of a dilemma here.
Yeah, the shaman's telling you something.
Yeah, so he's got a bunch of options about what he can do.
I mean, shamans are usually almost always on point, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think they're shamans for a reason.
Yeah,
right?
but I mean, yeah,
I
but I would ignore him too.
I at least like that his body is twitching.
Yeah,
It's very like, I like how you guys plan that.
Yeah.
You can also interrogate him. You can smack him around. I don't care if you're a holy man.
Get up.
I don't know, what would you do in this situation, John? Let's see if your knowledge is paying off.
What do you want to do, John?
I mean, I come from a rich history of shamans, so I say interrogate him, smack him around, asking me, telling me what to do.
So you tie up the shaman, interrogate him. His babbling is incomprehensible. But he does produce a magical item from the folds of his robe.
Oh,
so you now own.
So wait, is that a good thing? Do we do the right thing?
You've now
I feel bad
You've
for
got the
doing
helm,
that
you've got the
option.
helm of Discord. Now you can talk to other people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
Different than the helm of Skype.
there we are. So it's got a magical effect which debuffs all enemies in range with a massive melee attack and melee defense debuff. That is a really good bit of loot.
That's a really good thing. So the interrogating the shaman, which is what I would never do in real life, by the way. I would not. Yeah,
well,
only in video games would I ever do anything like that.
Well, I mean, you said you came from a great line.
I do.
so
Absolutely.
I think, you know, you didn't immediately wipe him
Papa
out.
Shango is one of my favorite shamans.
Well, there you go. You knew exactly what to do.
So when is the game coming out, and where can people find out more about it?
So we are out on the 28th of September this year. They can go to totalwar.com, sign up to our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter. We've got a YouTube channel. We're constantly putting new gameplay videos up there. We've got a lot more gameplay videos to come before launch. We're going to be detailing like in-depth the campaign game and the battle stuff for all the different factions over the next month or so. So, and also on Twitch as well, we have our own Twitch official channel. So we stream most days. So
do you ever do just like a novice stream? Because look at everything he's doing so fast, and you
Yeah.
just know exactly what
he
to do.
knows what he's doing.
I was saying,
yeah.
would you know? I know you would know what to
I
do.
mean, I would try to figure it out. I wouldn't go in blind.
I just go in blind, man. I
It's
just jump
tough.
into these
You
things.
can't do that.
Can't do that
Now
with
you
this
can,
game.
You can follow them on Twitch, and then you can learn how to play.
Exactly.
Because you have 1 month until the game comes out. You guys, thank you so much for joining us on stage, showing us some
Our
Total
pleasure.
War.